Hi, I'm John Green, and today we're talking about Dartmouth versus Woodward. But to do that, we need to understand the contract clause and how it applies today. The question of today is, did New Hampshire unconstitutionally interfere with Dartmouth under the contract clause?
Mr. Green, why are we discussing a case that sounds so boring when there are so many much more interesting cases in history?
Well, because, past me, law is almost never interesting, but this case set the foundation for the contract law. I know, past me. I know. To comprehend this case, we need to look back and see what was happening during the 19th century. During James Monroe's presidency, independent institutions such as colleges, businesses, and churches began to break off from the states in which they were located, becoming private, which meant the state had very little control over the institutions.
Dartmouth was one such college, and New Hampshire moved to turn the private college public in 1818. Because the Board of Trustees contained public figures, it was assumed that the college was also public. Dartmouth argued that this would be a violation of the contract clause. Woodward and Dartmouth ended up going head-to-head in a court battle.
Mr. Green, what exactly is the contract clause?
Good question, past me.
The actual clause states, "No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility." A lot of scary words in this, but basically states that no state can interfere with the private corporation contract.
Let's go to the thought bubble.
Going back to the case, the board wouldn't go down without a fight and went to the Superior Court, who deemed Dartmouth a public college and subject to public control. The board, almost powerless now, went to the Supreme Court. Woodward, the secretary for the new Board of Trustees, held all vital documents that the college owned, which made arguing the old trustees' case difficult. However, Daniel Webster was chosen to represent Dartmouth, which turns out to be a good choice. The two men went head-to-head in one of the most exciting, no wait, I'm being told that it was a civilized proceeding with no drama whatsoever. However, after a few months of the Boar Fest, the court ruled in favor of Dartmouth in 1819 because William Woodward violated the contract clause. The college charter qualified as a contract between private parties. This means that the legislation could not interfere. Them winning meant that they could go back to being a private institution and got all their paperwork back. And to make it even better, even received a sweet apology letter from New Hampshire. Not really, though.
Thanks, Thought Bubble. The reason that Dartmouth versus Woodward was such a vital case was not only because it taught Abby Cassidy that there was such a college called Dartmouth, but it also prohibited states from meddling in private contracts, an action that had yet to be seen and that we still use today. Also, a doctrine was made that said corporate charters come within the protection of the contract clause. Another effect is that since states couldn't make private institutions public, they started to establish state universities. So while this law may be boring to study, it's ultimately vital as it changed the course of our nation. Can you imagine what it would happen if states were allowed to interject in business meetings, or were allowed to pick what colleges students would attend, or decided what we could and could not teach in churches? We would be a vastly different society. This is John Green, and this has been Crash Course.
We would like to thank the following sponsors of this video for making Crash Course possible for viewers like you.